Hello everyone, my name is AJ, and I haven't come up with a good intro yet. Today, I'll be designing 2 characters for an animated series I've been making. Disclaimer, if you haven't completely rotted your brains out in the Undertale AU community, you might be a little lost. I'll try to explain things as we go along, I apologize. Basically, Toby Fox made a really cool game, but made the mistake of introducing time travel shenanigans in it, and a ton of people made a bunch of different alternate versions of it, and alternate versions of those alternate versions, and that's what I'm doing today! I have made an alternate version of the larger Undertale multiverse because I can. So, for those who don't know, I've been working on an animated series called Otherverse for quite some time. It was originally only going to be a comic, but after switching to YouTube as my main platform, I thought, why not animate the darn thing? So I am. The story follows our main character, Nightmare the 13th, who I'll be calling 13 to make things a little less confusing. She is the current negativity outcode, which basically means she's the goddess of misery. The story follows her journey to restore balance to the multiverse and heal from her trauma with her found family. The reason why the multiverse is in such a bad state right now is because of what went down between the first outcodes to ever live. The first negativity outcode to ever live wanted the multiverse to himself and attempted to conquer all of it violently. He teamed up with the destruction outcode to delete the most hopeful monster types to make himself stronger, and later betrayed him so he didn't have to share with anyone. His twin brother and opposite, Dream, managed to defeat him and restore balance to the multiverse with the help of the creation outcode. Just barely. And the effect was only temporary. Every generation after them respected the balance less and less. By the time our main character is born, most people don't believe the balance matters at all. This is, of course, not true. I'll have to get into this more in a different video, but for now, all you need to know is that if things go too far in either direction, it'll be bad. Since the story of the first 4 outcodes is so important, I thought the best way to start the first episode is by seeing the end of their story. In the pilot comic, I referenced the storybook-type opening narration of the original Undertale game, but I thought it would be more fun to see the actual battle. A battle is a really good hook to get people to stick around for the rest of the episode. And on a platform where most people click off within the first 30 seconds, getting them hooked immediately is always the best way to go. So how about I talk about the designs of these 2 idiots? I am basing them off a pre-existing AU, by the way. It's called Dreamtale, and it was created by Jokoblog in, I think, 2016, but I'm not going to fact-check the exact date because I'm lazy. I did the first pass on them months ago, so I don't remember my design process very well, so let's just jump right into the second pass. The original Dreamtale twins were created to guard the Tree of Feelings. This was an apple tree where all feelings, positive and negative, came from. Good feelings came from the golden apples, bad ones from the black ones. In the original AU, Nightmare ate the black apples, which turned him into this goopy octopus monster, and he cut down the tree. A very similar thing happens in my AU, but with a couple changes. In my version, after the tree is cut, the 2 halves of it split and regrow in Nightmare and Dream's respective kingdoms. Since these 2 started as tree guardians, I wanted to give them more plant inspirations. I turned Nightmare's tentacles into woody vines and put leaves on them to convey that. I gave him a chunky black robe that ties at the waist and only covers one leg. I gave him a blue underskirt to keep him modest, and these big chunky boots with an upturned toe for stomping on people's faces. I took some inspiration from Flowey's Photoshop form and decided to snatch him his arms and put them on Nightmare's back. I think the thorn claws look so cool. For colors, I followed my soul trait chart to make sure I kept all the color psychology consistent across the whole show. Black for hatred, dark gray for the despair anyone who sees him will feel, royal blue for distrust, light cyan for empathy, and light green for greed. One of these things is not like the others. If Nightmare is so evil, why the heck does he get empathy as his soul trait? It's 'cause it's tricked. Negativity outcodes have the unique ability to disguise their soul trait. Normally you can tell what a person's soul trait is from their eyes, but not this time. Nightmare has disguised his eye as empathy and hidden his soul in a layer of hatred. You can tell what his actual trait is by looking at the leaves on his vines. They are green for his greed. Nightmare is motivated by a relentless sense of greed. He is evil all the way through. He wants nothing more than to own the entirety of the multiverse and do away with his brother. I was originally going to make his trait Obsession because he was originally only motivated by a desire to get rid of his brother, but I thought the greed route would be better, because if he was motivated only by obsession, he would only have to target one person, but if he's greedy, then the whole multiverse. It gives him more motivation to make it everyone's problem. For Dream, I wanted him to have a light, soft energy to him. The original Dream Sans had 2 designs, and I loved both of them. I wanted to include elements of both of them and also put my own twist on it. Most of the changes I made were to make it easier for me personally to draw. I closed the robe in the front and put a little white vest over top of it. In the original Dream's first ever design, he had gloves with these little white things on top. I don't know what those things are, but they're cute, so I gave him those. I also made his boots to match. For his crown, I simplified it into a diamond-shaped halo floating above his head because it's a lot easier to track. The biggest change I made was the inclusion of wings. Dream also gets to eat a golden apple to get his own major power boost, and I thought it was a little unfair for a Nightmare to get extra appendages, but not Dream. So, wings! Since I had turned Nightmare's tentacles into vines, I thought I would turn Dream's wings into apple leaves. He turned out looking a lot more like a fairy than I intended, but it looked super cute, so I kept it. For colors, I kept his color palette very light. Cyan for curiosity, light yellow for optimism, pink for passion, cream for hope, and white for purity. His soul trait is passion, which is basically like the love trait. It doesn't have to just mean romantic love either. It can be for friends, family members, objects, pets, doesn't matter. People with this trait tend to be super loving, and Dream is no exception. Despite everything his brother has done, he still cares about him. I made his wings pink like his soul trait, but they were looking a little plain, so I gave them a cream gradient at the bottom. This made them look a lot more like flower petals than leaves, but I think it's fitting. Since this video is a little short, I thought I'd give you a general update on how the show is going so far. So far, I think I've got about 4 minutes. I could be totally wrong, I haven't checked in a while. I know, it's not very much. Unfortunately, between college work and other videos, and a general lack of motivation, I haven't gotten as far as I'd like to have. My process so far has been get really into it for a few days, make a ton of progress, and then lose all motivation for like a month. Part of why I had dropped out of working on it for so long was because I realized that I was doing the storyboards completely wrong. Making a comic and making a storyboard are incredibly similar. The difference is that for a storyboard, the size and shape of the panels never changes. After you finish the storyboard, you go into the animatic, and then I think the cleanup stage? I don't actually know, I'm not a professional. I made the mistake of going right into the animatic instead of doing the storyboard first. This meant that I wasted a lot of time animating bits that didn't need to be animated yet. Am I going to go back and fix all those bits that I already did? Absolutely not! I'm not a masochist! I'll just course correct from here. I'm at the point now where I have to storyboard the actual anime-style combat scene, and I'll be honest, I am terrified! I'm still very much a beginner animator, and I've never done anything like this before in my life. I am scared, very scared, but I've made too much progress to change my mind now. This will be done. I'm going to be posting updates about this project frequently on Patreon, and now that I actually have some patrons, I'm going to stay a lot more on top of it. I've noticed that I'm much better about getting stuff done in a timely manner when I have a commitment to someone else. So a huge thank you to Mercer Scott Holt for sponsoring me and keeping me on top of things. You're the greatest. If you would like to support my channel, I have links in the description to all of my social media. I also take commissions, here are my prices, and if you want one, you can head over to Ko-fi. You can also DM me on Instagram or Discord, but Ko-fi gets priority. Thank you everyone so much for watching. I'll see you all next week in a super cool video about a very drunk cat.